Boxing King Media. We're out here in the Gold Coast once again, 10,000 miles away from the UK. I was looking the other day. It's a long bloody way, Mick, the other side of Australia. Thank you for the invitation and welcoming to this great event. Jai Opetaia, Hussein Sinkara, a undefeated big puncher from Germany via Turkey. He looks like he's here for business.
Yeah, he's here for business, and he thinks he's got the power. He can upset Jai, but as I said all week, it's going to be a tough fight for him. It's going to be a tough night at the office, but he's coming to fight. He's prepared. He missed out on his opportunity in January, so he's been looking at Jai and watching Jai and having studying Jai's last two fights here on the Gold Coast, and he wants to bring it. So good luck to him. He's 40 years old. It's going to be a tough battle, but good luck to him.
I'll tell you what I will say. There's boxing happening all around the world at the minute. People staging events. This place is so underrated. I know the problem is it's bloody miles away, but once you're here, the weather, the people, the safety, and not only that, the venue. I might even just pan the camera around just to give people an idea. This is like an MGM almost, isn't it? I bet there's not a bad seat in the entire venue. If I just scan around the camera, got Spencer Brown over there as well, talking to Australian media.
That's a great look. This venue is made for boxing. This would probably be the best boxing venue in Australia. However, if you don't sell it out or you don't have big numbers here, there's no point. This is the third show this year here on the Gold Coast with Jai. We sold the whole three of them out in record time. I don't think it's ever been done. We don't comp tickets. There's other promoters that comp tickets to fill the numbers. We've never ever comped a ticket Tasman fighters. If you have a think about the actual card that we have, every single fight on this card could be a main event on any domestic card here in Australia. So, and Jai's paving the way and giving these guys the opportunities to fight on these big world-class stage fights, and he's proud of that. And as I said, we've got a lot of talent here in this country, and Jai's actually paving the way for these guys to get some global recognition.
What is the capacity of this venue?
Yeah, we'll get about 6,500 in this venue. I think if we had a venue about 8,000 or 9,000, we'd sell it out.
Which promoters comp tickets at this venue?
Where do we want to go? There's a promoter on Fox. I know they comp tickets a fair bit.
I was just joking. I didn't think you'd answer that, to be fair. We're just winding you up.
It is what it is, mate. It is what it is.
Yeah. So, one of the things I've seen, obviously, the content we've put out in the last few days, I've been reading the comments, and one of the things people are spotting is that Jai wants to fight all the best in the division. He's constantly calling out the big names, but everyone's got their own plans. Badu Jack's stuck with his fight that he's got to have. Zerdo's chosen to have the old Mexican fight, which you can't blame him for, which is obviously going to be a big event in the US. Obviously, with Jai, people are knocking his opponents. Obviously, I know the game and I know he's a mandatory. So, what do you say? How do you explain to the people that are saying, well, his last three opponents, obviously David Nika's the name that stands out, but the last two guys, obviously, were like casual boxing fans aren't going to know him. So, you explain to them why he's had to fight these people.
Look, boxing's probably one of the toughest sports ever. And it's not only hard on the fighters, it's hard for obviously the promoters, the managers. Jai's the most feared fighter in the world. Forget about cruiserweight division, he's the most feared fighter globally and the most ducked. If you have a look at the heavyweight division, Usyk's an absolute animal as well. And he's got so many guys calling him out, they want to get in the ring with Usyk. There's not one cruiserweight that wants to get in the ring with Jai. I know this guy does. The reason why this guy does is because this is his last chance, and he's 40 years old, and he's got nothing to lose. I'll be completely honest, but he's the most feared fighter in the world, and to get guys in the ring, it's not easy, and it's expensive because they're going to get knocked out and they're going to be paid. And you mentioned the Zerdo Ramirez's of the world, mate. This guy's kidding himself. He's picked the wrong sport. He doesn't want to test himself against the best. I understand the business that he could take a lot of easier fights. He's 35 or 36 years old or something along those lines. He's quite popular in the Mexican community over in the US. He's got young kids. He wants to leave a legacy for his kids. He could probably take another 2 or 3 fights and retire. healthy, wealthy, and leave a legacy for his kids, as I said. But the other option is he could go and fight Jai Opetaia and have his ass handed to him in 3 or 4 rounds. So that's the two options. So when you get to this age, when 35, 36 and towards the back end of your career, why would you want to get in the ring with Jai? Well, I understand he's asking for big money. I'd ask for big money too. But at the end of the day, the numbers that he's asking for are unrealistic and they're never going to happen. And that's a lot of fighters, they hide behind these numbers. And that's what he's done. He's hid behind, the figure of $8 million US. Mate, the commercial value of that fight would be lucky to be $8 million US. So it's just been a ridiculous request. And he said in a statement the other day, he's never really heard of Jai Opetaia. Well, that's bullshit. We've been talking to the Golden Boys for the last 12 months. Eric Gomez, I went to New York a few months ago and I met with the Golden Boy guys and they liked the fight. They really wanted to make that fight happen. But the problem is if the fighter doesn't want to get in the ring, how do you entice this guy to fight? So, probably asking for stupid amounts of money. That's how he can avoid and still be proud. But he knows who the hell Jai Opetaia is. He knows exactly who Jai Opetaia is. He's a ring world champion. Everyone knows the ring world champions. Okay, so that's bullshit.
Well, explain this to me, because I'm obviously I can speak for the hardcore fans and the casual fans. If I look at Jai Opetaia, and I think he's a marketing dream. He's a good-looking kid. He can talk. He can fight. All the hardcore fans love him. He just hasn't maybe reached out to the casuals. But obviously, I saw Eddie Hearn yesterday mention that he had an agreement with him which is coming to an end. Like, what was that relationship like? Whether it's going to continue or not. What was the plan behind it? Because you would expect Jai Opetaia to break into the UK, US market. I just can't understand. There's so many fighters. Look at Bivol, Beterbiev, all these guys are kind of cracked that market. Why hasn't this guy cracked that market? I don't get it.
He's actually quite popular in the UK. So we went over there for the Ring Magazine Awards earlier in January, and we went to one of the shopping centres there, Hammersmith, and mate, he was mobbed. So he's actually quite well known over in the UK. So to answer the question, why hasn't he fought more often over in the UK? I'm not so sure. Now, we did fight.
Was that part of the agreement with Matchroom when you signed?
So how the Matchroom agreement came about was that Masternak pulled out of the purse bid, 2023, and we had to find obviously another opponent. And Jordan Thompson, he was sitting there, I think it was number 6, and I was actually in the US at the time, and I ran into obviously Frank Smith and Eddie, and I asked, can we bring that fight here to Australia? And then the IBF, I think Boxer, they campaigned against it. They wanted Richard Riakporter to get that fight. So, we paid the exception fee. We tried to bring that fight to Australia. The fight fell over because, Boxer, wanted to interfere, and they wanted to have this fight against Jai over in the UK. So we went to purse bid. I think it was about 3 hours before purse bid, and they pulled out. So then we left in limbo again. And you got to remember, Jai's a world champion, and he's ready and he's training, he's willing to fight. But these purse bids and even a purse bid, they can't get these guys in the ring. So he pulls out 3 hours before the purse bid, and Eddie actually called me and said, why don't we just do this fight over in the UK? So we did. So we did that fight in the UK. We signed an agreement with Eddie Hearn. We had an option on that fight. We've fulfilled their obligations. Me personally, and Spencer Brown's also included. We got Jai on the Riyadh seasons. Well, Spencer actually got Jai on the Riyadh seasons originally. And we've had a relationship since then. But look, there's a lot of moving parts in boxing, and we respect the fact that Eddie actually, he fought on a Matchroom show over in the UK. But you've got to remember, he did fight a Matchroom fighter. So it was a win-win for everyone. And as far as the contract coming to an end, it's been a very casual contract. As far as coming to an end, it's just it's actually been through Spencer. So Spencer sort of had a deal with Eddie. I've got the deal with Jai. And I've got the deal with Spencer, and that's the relationship. And it's been a healthy relationship. It's been a good relationship. We've had a lot of great times and a lot of good opportunities. But the contract is coming to an end, or the agreement's coming to an end, Jai needs to find opportunities and find how can he make these fights happen. And it's not about the money, and it's not about burning bridges with people either. It's about finding a chance to actually get these fights that he wants. And people have spoke about going to heavyweight. Jai definitely does not want to go to heavyweight yet. He wants to unify. And I've said before in a few other interviews earlier in the year that, it's not about money, it's legacy. He wants that name Opetaia, set in stone. People are talking about, the Opetaia name from years to come, generational, a generational, boxing hero. You know what I mean? Like everyone, like Mike Tyson's. Look at Mike Tyson. He's one of the most feared fighters in his day, and everyone still fears him. Everyone talks about him like he's a god. Jai is a Mike Tyson of the cruiserweight division. He's the best fighter to ever come out of this part of the world. Probably the best fighter that we'll ever see in our lifetime.
Well, based on and that's what I was trying to say. Based on that, why isn't, like, if it was Eddie, if not Oscar, if not Frank Warren, why aren't none of these, obviously all respect to you, you're doing it big in Australia, but why aren't these promoters from the other side of the world just worked with you and just try to build him in the UK or build him in the US? That's the bit I don't get, and that's the bit probably the fans don't get, because there's fighters out there that probably aren't on the level as Jai who are getting all the exposure. That's what I'm trying to say.
Jai's hard to promote. And for that reason, because his opponents are expensive, he's hard to match. The commercial value of a fighter, and Joe Parker's had these same issues, the commercial value of a fighter from Australia or New Zealand fighting in the UK isn't as a fighter from the UK. We're still not at a top tier level of this sport. We're competing against rugby league and AFL and cricket, so it's hard. In the UK, I would say that boxing's a top tier sport. It's got a massive following. Over here we're trying to build a sport over here, but it's tough. And it comes down to a commercial value. And when I say Jai hard to promote, mate, his fights are expensive, and you need to sell at stadiums. Even we sold out this stadium, and we're still struggling to make it work. And that's the facts. This is on a pay-per-view. Obviously in Australia we're relying on the pay-per-view figures, so that's the only way we can see this, continuing to promote Jai at this level here in Australia.
Good stuff. Sounds good. But yeah, I think that's it really. I think you kind of answered most of the questions, but as far as you're concerned, the relationship with Eddie Hearn, it's not going to continue from this moment. Yeah,
well, look, as I said, we'll probably come to the fork in the road and we go that way or that way, and we're looking for the best opportunities for Jai. And the best, if a better opportunity presents itself, obviously we're going to consider it. If not, we'll just keep going the way we're going. But and we spoke earlier about the whole DAZN thing and the Fox thing, and this is on Stan. It's probably there's probably an issue there contractually. So Eddie has taken a step back on this particular event. But you just never know in the future. But we're not here about burning bridges. But as I said, there's a fork in the road. We've got to find the right way for our fighter Jai Opetaia. And Spencer Brown's 120% behind Jai. Tasman fighters. Spencer's been out here the first time he's been out, but his brand's been out here. Like, Spencer's actually contributed every single show in the last 3 years that Tasman Fighters has done here in Australia. Spencer Brown's had our back, and he's completely behind us. So we've helped like that. And without Spencer, we couldn't do these shows. Going back in January, without Spencer, we couldn't have done that January show. And then even the last show, like every single show, he's financially contributed, and not a little bit, a bloody lot. And
do Matchroom contribute as well?
No, not at all. But look, it is what it is. Like, I don't really care. I mean, if they want to, great. If they don't, it is what it is. But Spencer's puts his hand in his pocket, and that's why he's one of the best guys in boxing.
Obviously, I'll probably get kicked for asking you, but obviously, if the fans find this kind of stuff interesting, obviously, if they're co-promoting, is it not like you both kind of dip your hands in the pocket? How does it work? And then you reap the profits back. That's what I'm assuming.
If we make a profit, it'd be lovely to make a profit. It's tough. It's tough. I'd like to do an event with these fighters and say, okay, open book. okay, whatever we make out of this show, we're going to split it. They wouldn't do it because the figures would scare them. And a lot of these guys, they don't want to sell. They don't want to get in front of the camera. They don't want to sell their own bloody fight, but yet they want to get paid. Well, what have I got to sell tickets for them? So it's hard. It's really hard in this country. We don't have the supporters that we do in the UK. And as I said, with Spencer Brown coming to the party, it's Tasman Fighters has gone 200% better than last 2022.
Well, thank you for that input, Mick. We'll look forward to tomorrow night, and obviously I'll urge the fans to watch it. Can you confirm the whole thing with UFC Fight Pass? Because I'm getting people messaging me, asking me, is it for free on YouTube, or have you got to pay for the app, or what is it?
No, it's on all globally, obviously not in Australia. It's geo blocked here in Australia. So
On YouTube, yeah.
Stan Sports it's a Stan Sports pay-per-view here in Australia. It's $50. It's the only way if you haven't got tickets to the venue, obviously that's the only way you're going to get a chance to tune in and watch it now, or find a pub or a club that's going to support that event. But globally, UFC Fight Pass, it's on that. We've done a deal with UFC Fight Pass, which is over the next 2 or 3 years. So we're excited about that as well. So UFC Fight Pass is a massive platform. It's a massive platform. It's been around for a while. The guys have been really good to deal with. So we're looking forward to it. And it's good to mix it up too. Like, we've fought on DAZN quite a few times, and respect to DAZN as well. Like, DAZN's been great, and they're a great product, and they're the home of global boxing. But I think it's good to mix things up.
Definitely is. It's always good to have more competitors in the market. Mick, yes, top stuff, mate. Thank you for that interesting input. You've been open like a book, so I do like that about you. So wish you all the best. I'm looking forward to my second fight night in the Gold Coast. Any last words?
Thanks for coming out. You support our events every time. You're good to deal with, and mate, let's have a great night tomorrow night.
Thank you very much.